So hi everyone, this is Jiggie, a portrait and wedding photographer from the Philippines, and welcome to the channel. So as you can see, it's a tail end of the day. We're actually here in one of the parks in the Philippines in Tagaytay, and I spent some time with the family and I decided to take some pictures of the kids, and I have with me my favorite camera to take whenever I have those family affairs or this family days where we can actually relax, but I still want to document the day in the life of my kids. Now, I specifically bought this particular camera for video for professional work, but then the more that I started using it, the more I fell in love with it for a photo camera. And what is it? It's a Sony ZV-E1. Now, as I said earlier, I bought this camera for professional work because I wanted to use it for content creation and have it very light and handy so that my wife Coco, who's holding on to the camera now, will not really have a hard time. And yes, it does serve its purpose. It's fantastic when it comes to video. But then when I started using it, I realized it's also amazing as a photo camera. Just to give you some context, I remember way back in I think 2013 was the first time I've used a Sony A7S, which had a 12 megapixel sensor at that time. Of course, this ZV-E1 is a 12 megapixel full frame camera from Sony, interchangeable lens, and it's got a kit lens. It's a 28 to 60 3.5 I think to 5.6 or 4.5 to 5.6, and I'll talk about this particular lens in a bit also. Now, what was I saying? Oh, I was telling you my story about my experience with the Sony A7S, the original A7S. At that time, Sony came out with a Sony A7R, which was about 30 megapixels, and that was already the highest that you can get for a full frame sensor. Most of the full frame cameras during the time was really between 12 to 18, or a maximum I think about 21 or 22. Now 12 megapixel is more than enough for me to create my large format prints. Of course, technology got better and better. Now we've got 60 megapixel, 100 megapixel cameras, but 12 megapixel is still more than enough. And that's why I started taking some pictures with it, even though it's got an electronic shutter, and by all means I was actually very impressed. Now, as I said earlier, I bought this camera specifically for video. And for video, it is amazing. Focus is really fast. It's got amazing colors. Look, the touchscreen, it's so easy to use. Coco loves it because she doesn't really have to work around all the buttons here, but rather everything's here in the screen. So she can change all the settings that she wants instead of actually having to memorize all the buttons, right, babe?
Yes.
It's different, right? It's easier for you to use this. Plus, all you gotta do is touch a screen. You've got tracking control already. Very, very easy to use, especially when it comes to shooting moving kids or me whenever I'm shooting videos that it's actually I move around so often. Now, for video, I have no problems with it. You've got audio here from the Sony G1 mic, which gives me a bit better, well, it gives me better audio than the built-in mic, but the built-in mic is no slouch also. So videos, I'm sure all the videographers will say this is fantastic because this is a mini A7S3 and a mini FX3. Now, when I started learning how to use video, they were telling me, hey, maybe you should start using S-Log and LUTs. And I was like, okay, but I like the video, the colors that are coming out straight out of the camera, in which case whenever I shoot photos anyway, don't do any filters. I just love the colors from Sony, and straight out of the camera is the way I would do things. So I never really played around with it. Until they told me if you're gonna be using S-Log or LUTs, then you've got a different base ISO, and this one also has dual base ISO, which is at ISO 640 and ISO 12800. Yes, that's a thing, 12800. At 12800, this thing is absolutely clean, so it's perfect for those parties at night when I have to shoot really nice videos, but then we don't have the good ambient light like we normally would have. And that's why this particular kit lens is really perfect. Even though it's 4.5 to 5.6, it doesn't really matter because I can just boost up my ISO and still get clean images. And whenever we're doing, remember babe, whenever we're doing, let's say, shoots for our kids, we don't really want to bokeh because we want to actually have the background as part of the scene because it is documentation. So that the 4.5 to 5.6, 4.5, yeah, 4 to 5.6 lens is perfect. See, I don't even bother with it anymore because I just put my camera on auto ISO and it takes amazing videos already, but it also takes amazing photos. So everything that I said about video, about how fast it focuses, how good it is in high ISO, also works the same way for video. So I've been shooting with this one with 12,800, even late at night, no problems whatsoever. It's so light. You can see how small it is. It's got a good battery from Sony, so I can take 1 or 2 batteries with me for the entire trip, and I won't have any problems running out of batteries. I have this, well, look at it. It's a Sony strap by Peak Design. Can you see? Sony strap by Peak Design, and I just put it here in my hand. I can just do this, no problem. The 28 to 60 is actually very similar to my favorite focal length, which is a 24 to 70, though the 2.8 version is massive compared to this particular lens. And if I want to pack it up, all I have to do is do that, and look how small it packs up. That's why I've always felt that I remember way back in 2012, I actually went and bought a Sony camera specifically for one reason. I wanted a full frame, well, more than one reason, but I wanted a full frame camera that I can take with me while I am traveling and have it this small. Then afterwards, people saw how beautiful the mirrorless system is and started demanding more features. Therefore, the cameras got bigger, bigger, and bigger. And that's why I love it that Sony decided to go back to the small form factor. So once again, I have a full frame camera, just at 12 megapixels, which I truly love because it's so easy for me to just take as many pictures as I want without having to kill my hard drive. And it's just amazing. The images coming from this ZV-E1 are just amazing. So that's me basically just sharing my thoughts about what I feel is the best camera that Sony released in 2023, and it flew under the radar because everybody thought that this was specifically made for video. But I can tell you this much, it is an amazing camera for photos, especially for everyday photography with your family, with your friends, or just traveling. So what is this? My perfect travel camera, my perfect camera for me to take whenever I have family affairs. It's a perfect camera for me to take whenever my kids have things in school, or we take them to a place like this, like a park. This is a Sony ZV-E1 and I totally love it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do subscribe to the channel, and while you're at it, click that notification bell. Now, if you want to learn more about photography and off-camera flash photography, or just off-camera lighting, then I have a ton of videos in the channel already. Feel free to check them out. Now, if you want to see some of the images that I've created using this particular camera, you could always find me on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, all at Jiggie Alejandrino. Now, if you have any questions with regards to this camera, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I would love to answer them. Okay? Till the next video.